Welcome, chosen ones. They say the most dangerous person in the room isn't the loudest or the strongest. It's the one who owes nothing to anyone and follows only their purpose. That's you. Not just walking through life. You're a force, a storm, a disruptor. And guess what? People aren't just whispering about you in secret. They're consumed by you, watching, wondering, even trembling. Why? Because you shatter their illusions. You don't play their rigged games. You rewrite the rules. Your presence is like a lightning bolt in a glass house, unexpected, uncontrollable, and utterly destructive to their fragile constructs. They fear what they can't predict. And you? You're the definition of unpredictable. Research tells us that humans instinctively fear what they can't control. Well, congratulations. You're the living embodiment of that fear. You challenge their sense of order, their carefully built facades, just by being unapologetically you. But it's deeper than that. It's not just your strength, your unshakable resolve, or the way you effortlessly walk away from their nonsense. It's your vision. You see them, their cracks, their shadows, their buried lies. And they know it. Watching them squirm when you enter the room, like cockroaches exposed to light, isn't just amusing. It's a reminder of your power. And let's be clear, you didn't come here to simply scare them, though their panic is poetic. You incarnated for a mission far bigger than their fear: justice. You're here to tip the scales, to tear down systems that thrive on lies and oppression. Their fear. It's the alarm bell ringing loud and clear, signaling that you're right where you need to be. So, buckle up, chosen ones. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and get ready to dive in. Today we're breaking down why their fear isn't just meaningless noise. It's proof. Proof that you're the unstoppable storm they never saw coming. Let's get started. Number 1. Turning mirrors into shadows. Why they fear you. They don't fear you for what you do. They fear you for what you reveal. Like an uninvited mirror in their lives, your presence forces them to face the parts of themselves they've spent years avoiding. The lies they tell themselves, the masks they wear, the shadows they try to outrun. All of it comes into sharp focus when you walk in the room. It's not because you call them out with words. You don't need to. Your existence, raw and unapologetic, is a spotlight that no one can dim. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls, Carl Jung once said. And you? You make that avoidance impossible. You're not just a person in their world. You're a reckoning. Most people build their lives on denial, stacking fragile illusions like cards in a house. Then you step in, and the mere gravity of your authenticity sends it all crashing down. They feel exposed, like standing in the middle of a stage under a bright light with nowhere to hide. You don't fit into their boxes. You don't conform to their unspoken rules. And that's terrifying to them. Why? Because you represent everything they're too afraid to be. Your courage reminds them of their cowardice. Your clarity highlights their confusion. Your refusal to shrink into the mold society forces them to question why they ever settled for it in the first place. It's not just unsettling, it's paralyzing. Imagine living in a dark room for years, convincing yourself the darkness is safety, and then someone rips open the curtains. That's what you do. You are the curtain ripper, the truth bearer, the living embodiment of what they've buried deep down. And the scariest part, you see them. You see their fears, their insecurities, their contradictions. They can't fool you, and that's a power they can't match or control. So, they lash out, they whisper about you, try to pull you down and label you as the problem. But here's the truth. Their fear says more about them than it does about you. Their discomfort isn't proof of your missteps. It's evidence of your impact. You weren't born to make people comfortable. You came to unsettle, to awaken, to drag hidden truths into the light. And yes, justice always begins with truth. Let them talk. Let them fear. After all, even the shadows can't hide when the light breaks through. Number 2. The mirror that never lies. You terrify them, not because of what you say or do, but because you reflect the truth they've been running from their entire lives. You're not just a person, you're clarity in human form, and for those who cling to illusions, that clarity feels like a thunderclap in a silent room. Most people live in a fog of self-deception, carefully constructing identities that make them feel safe. They tell themselves stories. I'm a good person. I'm doing all I can. I'm in control. These narratives are their shields against reality. But when you enter their world, those shields start to crack. Your energy, your presence, your very existence acts like a mirror, one that doesn't distort, flatter, or lie. And, let's be honest, most people don't want to see what's really staring back at them. They've grown used to a filtered version of themselves. But you show them the raw, unvarnished truth. You reveal the corners they've ignored, the flaws they've hidden, the compromises they've made to survive. Standing near you is like standing under a piercing, fluorescent light. Everything they'd rather not see suddenly becomes visible. Your independence makes them question their own captivity. Your strength highlights their weakness. Your honesty exposes the lies they've been telling themselves and everyone around them. It's not hatred that fuels their fear of you. It's shame. Shame for the dreams they abandoned, the work they avoided, the courage they never mustered. Being in your presence reminds them of the version of themselves they could have been, but chose not to become. And what do people do when confronted with truths they can't bear? They retreat, they lash out, they gossip, they resent, they try to tarnish you, not because you've done anything to harm them, but because you've forced them to look at themselves, and they don't like what they see. But here's the thing. You didn't come here to coddle or conform. You weren't born to blend into their illusions or soothe their insecurities. You exist to reveal the truth, and truth is never polite. It doesn't apologize. It doesn't bend to make people comfortable. Truth shatters. Truth disrupts. Truth transforms. And transformation? It's always uncomfortable. But that discomfort is where growth begins, even if they're not ready to embrace it. Keep being the mirror. Let them fear, retreat, or lash out. It's not your burden to carry. Truth, like light, exists to illuminate, and you were born to shine. Number 3. The weight of timeless justice. You don't just fight for justice, you are justice. A force as ancient as the tides and as unyielding as the mountains. You carry an energy that is both timeless and inescapable. It's not something you wear like a badge. It's embedded in the very essence of who you are. People feel it the moment you enter a room, even if they can't name it. It's as if the scales of the universe have come alive and taken human form. This isn't about revenge or settling petty scores. It's about balance, about restoring harmony to a world that has grown far too comfortable with imbalance. You are the wind that erodes the tallest cliffs of deception, the fire that burns away the rot. People sense this inevitability in you, and it shakes them. You are not chaos. You are order returning to a disordered world. And that's terrifying to those who thrive in the cracks and shadows of injustice. To those who manipulate, exploit, or deceive, your presence is like the tolling of a bell. They may not understand it, but they feel it, that silent, unspoken verdict that you carry wherever you go. You don't need to shout, point fingers, or threaten. Your energy alone is a declaration. The games are over. The scales will balance, no matter how deeply they've tried to tilt them in their favor. This is why they fear you. For those who have built their lives on lies, you are their reckoning. Your very existence signals that their time is up, that their actions will no longer go unchecked. Even those who haven't wronged you directly feel uneasy around you because your energy exposes the cracks in the systems they've come to rely on. You make them question the structures they once thought were unshakable. You didn't come into this life to simply exist, to blend in, or to keep the peace. You came to disrupt, to dismantle what's corrupt, and to build something better from its ashes. That kind of presence doesn't just demand respect. It commands fear from anyone clinging to broken ways. Justice isn't just what you do, it's who you are. It's in your bones, your voice, your every movement. And no matter how hard they try to resist, they know one thing deep down: you're unstoppable. Because the energy you carry isn't just yours, it's eternal. It's the will of something far greater than any of us, and it has chosen you. Number 4, the truth that shatters their masks. People spend a lifetime perfecting their masks, carefully constructed facades built to protect their insecurities, win approval, and hide their flaws. But when they meet you, all of that crumbles. It's not something you set out to do, it's simply who you are. Your energy doesn't just see the mask, it sees through it, and that alone is enough to dismantle the illusions they've spent years crafting. You don't operate on the surface. Where most people engage with the persona someone presents, you connect with what lies beneath. It's not about reading their body language or spotting inconsistencies. It's deeper than that. Your presence is like a silent truth detector, pulling out authenticity in others, whether they're ready to face it or not. For those who rely on their masks, this is more than uncomfortable. It's terrifying. Their carefully constructed identities, the lies they tell themselves and others, begin to dissolve when you're around. They're left exposed, raw, and unprepared to navigate a world without their usual armor. What truly unsettles them is the fact that they can't figure you out. They're used to manipulating situations with charm, deception, or bravado, but none of that works on you. They can't hide behind their words, their smiles, or their excuses, because you see straight into their intentions. To them, this feels like standing in front of someone who already knows the ending to their story, and the parts they'd hoped no one would ever read. It's not that you judge or confront them. You don't need to. It's simply that your authenticity leaves no room for their pretense. You're not playing their game, and that leaves them disoriented. Without their masks, they're lost. They don't know how to be themselves because they've spent so long pretending to be someone else. This is why they fear you. To them, you're not just a person, you're a force. A force they can't charm, manipulate, or control. And that's a nightmare for anyone whose power comes from hiding behind their masks. But it's also why you're so transformative. You don't tear them down out of malice. You simply embody a truth so pure that their falsehoods can't coexist with it. Your presence strips away what's false, leaving behind the raw material of who they really are. Whether they grow from that or retreat back into fear is not your concern. You are a catalyst, not a comfort, and that is why your energy is both feared and respected. Number 5. The fortress of integrity they can't breach. In a world where truth is bent like metal in a forge, your unyielding integrity stands as an unmovable force, a fortress built on principles that can't be bought, broken, or shaken. You don't compromise, you don't cut corners, and you don't play by the unspoken rules of convenience. For those who thrive on deception, that makes you not just an outlier, but a threat. Here's the reality. Most people navigate life using tools like manipulation, deceit, and persuasion to get ahead. They craft carefully calculated moves, trading authenticity for advantage. Then they meet you. Suddenly, those tools don't work. They can't charm you. They can't guilt-trip you. They can't intimidate or maneuver around you. And that realization sends a shockwave through their carefully controlled world. What unnerves them most is that your integrity isn't an act. It's not something you wear to gain respect or approval. It's embedded in your very being. While they build facades to hide their compromises, you walk through life unmasked, unyielding, and unapologetically genuine. That kind of authenticity is rare, it's powerful, and it exposes their lack of it. When they look at you, they're forced to confront the ways they've betrayed their own principles. Your unwavering honesty becomes a mirror, reflecting their compromises, shortcuts, and hidden agendas. They see what they could have been if they'd chosen courage over convenience, and that comparison terrifies them. So they react. They avoid you, gossip about you, or try to tarnish your reputation. But their attempts to discredit you fall flat because your transparency leaves nothing for them to exploit. You're not playing their game, and that makes you unpredictable, impossible to manipulate, and even harder to defeat. Your integrity is more than a defense, it's a weapon, a quiet, unassailable strength that dismantles their strategies before they can even take shape. It's not loud or aggressive, but it's powerful enough to bring their schemes to a halt. To them, you're a living reminder of everything they've sacrificed for power, ambition, or comfort. But that's not your burden to carry. Your integrity is yours alone, and it's the reason they'll never be able to control you. While their world is built on shifting sands, you're the unyielding rock they'll never conquer. In the end, their fear of you is simply a reflection of their fear of the truth you embody, and the truth always wins. Number 6. The tipping point. They can't avoid. Your very presence is the harbinger of change they've long feared, a silent yet undeniable signal that their time is up. You didn't come into this life to tiptoe around their systems of control or politely nudge at their power structures. You came to upend them entirely, and they know it. From the moment you step into the picture, they sense the inevitability of what you represent, the end of their dominance, and the rise of something they can neither predict nor control. You don't have to lift a finger or speak a word. It's not about the actions you take, but the energy you carry, an unrelenting, unapologetic force of transformation. You are the storm that reshapes landscapes, the tide that cannot be held back. And for those who have thrived on manipulation, deceit, and unchecked power, your very existence is a threat they cannot ignore. Their empires were built on illusions, on fragile scaffolding of lies, coercion, and fear. But you are a walking contradiction to everything they stand for. You don't engage in their games, and you don't acknowledge their rules. Yet, by simply standing in your truth, you begin to unravel their carefully crafted control. Like a crack in a dam, your presence sends ripples through their foundations, making them question how much longer their structures can hold. What terrifies the most is not just the inevitability of your mission, but the fact that they are powerless to stop it. No slander, sabotage, or resistance can touch the essence of who you are or derail what you've come to do. They can feel the tides turning, and no matter how hard they try to hold onto their grip, they know their reign is coming to an end. You are a living reminder that the old ways, built on oppression and manipulation, can no longer sustain themselves. Their fear isn't just about you, it's about what you represent. You are the embodiment of justice, truth, and a new order. And deep down, even if they won't admit it, they understand that you are unstoppable. Their dominance was never permanent, and your existence is proof that the balance is finally shifting. This isn't just change, it's a reckoning. You've come not to negotiate or delay, but to dismantle the broken and make way for what is right. Their time is up, and you are the undeniable force making that truth a reality. Number 7. The fortress they can't breach. For those who thrive on control, fear, guilt, and manipulation are their sharpest weapons, tools they've spent years perfecting to bend others to their will. These tactics are their lifeline, their strategy, their shield. But when they come up against you, all of it crumbles. Their weapons, so effective against others, are rendered useless the moment they're turned in your direction. And that terrifies them in ways they can't even put into words. You don't fight back with the same tactics. You don't engage in their games or scramble to defend yourself. You simply don't respond in the way they've come to expect. And that's what disarms them completely. Fear doesn't touch you, because you've already faced your own shadows. You've walked through your darkest moments, survived your own storms, and come out the other side stronger and untouchable. They can't use fear as a leash, because you've already cut it. Guilt slides off you like water off stone. You operate from a place of truth and authenticity, and you know your intentions are clean. They can point fingers, spin blame, or cast shadows, but none of it sticks because you're not tethered to their narrative. Manipulation, their final weapon, falls apart in your presence. You see through it so clearly that their efforts seem almost laughable, clumsy and desperate attempts to control what cannot be controlled. For them, this isn't just a failed tactic, it's an existential crisis. They've built their identities and power on these tools, believing them to be unshakable. But in your presence, those tools lose their edge. Their fear-mongering feels hollow, their guilt-tripping ineffective, their manipulation transparent. Without their weapons, they're left exposed for what they truly are. And that vulnerability, the thing they've spent their entire lives avoiding, feels like their foundation is crumbling beneath them. It's not just intimidating, it's shattering. Your immunity to their methods forces them to confront a terrifying truth. Their power was never real. It only worked because others allowed it to. But you? You don't play by their rules, and you don't need their approval. Your very existence calls their entire way of life into question. You don't need to raise a hand, lift your voice, or even make an effort. Your strength lies in the fact that you've already mastered the fears and insecurities they rely on to control others. In the face of that kind of unshakable inner power, their weapons are nothing more than dull blades, and they know it. For them, this isn't just a challenge, it's an unraveling, and there's no defense against the force that you are. Number 8. The power. They can't grasp your authority doesn't stem from wealth, status, or charisma. It's not tied to anything that can be gained or lost in the material world. Instead, your power is rooted in something far greater, a divine purpose that flows through every aspect of your being. It's not something you wear like a badge or announce with fanfare. It simply is. And the moment people encounter you, they feel it. Even those who claim not to believe in anything beyond the physical world can't deny that there's something extraordinary about you. It's not a power they can name, copy, or control. It's incorruptible, infinite, and utterly beyond their grasp. For those who cling to earthly forms of power, manipulation, influence, hierarchies, Your presence is a jarring reminder of how small and fragile their control really is. Your authority is not something they can buy, undermine, or bend to their will. To them, it feels like standing before a force of nature, something immense, unshakable, and entirely beyond negotiation. They realize, whether consciously or not, that they're not just dealing with a person, but with a purpose. And it's a purpose that cannot be derailed or outmaneuvered. This is why they fear you. It's not just who you are, it's what you represent. You are a living testament to a higher order, a force that exists beyond their schemes and ambitions. Your presence exposes the fragility of their power, reminding them that no amount of manipulation or cunning can stand against the divine. You move through life with a quiet, unshakable confidence because you don't need to prove anything. The truth of who you are and what you represent is self-evident, and it radiates from you in ways that words could never capture. Those around you sense this, even if they can't articulate it, and it terrifies them. Because in the face of divine authority, their games are meaningless. Their hierarchies crumble, their illusions fade, and they are left staring at the stark reality of their limitations. You don't fight them. You don't need to. Your presence alone does the work, embodying a power that transcends their comprehension. You are a reminder of something greater, a force that moves through you and with you. And whether they admit it or not, they know they're not just facing you. They're facing the infinite. And that realization shakes them to their core. Number 9. The storm. They can't predict. People cling to predictability like a lifeline. It gives them a sense of control, a feeling of safety. They want to know what to expect, how others will behave, and where they stand in relation to the world around them. But with you, that sense of control shatters. You're the unexpected, the uncontainable force that slips through their fingers, no matter how tightly they try to grasp. You refuse to be defined by their labels, to be boxed into their neat categories. Their attempts to pin you down are futile, like trying to catch smoke with their hands. One moment, you're calm and introspective, and the next, you're boldly shaking the foundations of everything they thought was unshakable. You don't play by their rules. You write your own. And that defiance of convention terrifies them because it's something they can't understand, let alone control. Your unpredictability is maddening to those who thrive on certainty. They need people and situations to fit neatly into their expectations, to act according to the scripts they've written in their minds. But you're the plot twist they didn't see coming. The more they try to label you, the more you slip through their grasp, leaving them disoriented and uneasy. It's not just that they don't know what you'll do next, it's that they can't know. Your actions, your words, your very existence defy their attempts to anticipate and plan. To them, you're like a shifting puzzle, a riddle without an answer, and that keeps them on edge, scrambling for control in a game they can't even begin to win. You move in ways that surprise, disrupt, and challenge the status quo. You don't play by their rules, and you don't care to, and that makes you powerful in ways they can't comprehend. You're not tied to their expectations or limited by their understanding. You are a force of nature, like a storm that can't be predicted, one that leaves everything it touches changed forever. They fear you because they can't figure you out. They can't box you in. You are the unknown, and the unknown is the one thing they can never control. That's your power, and it's why they'll always be watching, always trying to grasp what they'll never be able to hold. Number 10. The power of your silence. Your silence is not emptiness, it's power. In a world drowning in noise, arguments and petty conflicts, your quiet strength speaks louder than all their chaos. While others scramble to provoke, gossip or drag you into their games, you stand unmoved. Your silence is a mirror, forcing them to confront the hollowness of their own actions. When they hurl accusations or insults, you don't react. You don't defend yourself or explain your every move. And that infuriates them. Their words, crafted to control or manipulate, hit nothing but air. What they don't understand is that your refusal to engage isn't weakness. It's unshakable confidence. You've already won by showing that their noise holds no power over you. This lack of reaction terrifies them. They thrive on eliciting responses, using words as weapons to dominate and control. But you're untouchable. Your silence strips them of their perceived power, leaving them flailing in the void they tried to create for you. In a world where everyone feels the need to shout to be heard, your silence is a declaration. Their words don't matter. Your presence, steady and unyielding, drowns out their noise. And that, to them, is truly unbearable. Number 11. You incarnated to rewrite the rules. You didn't come here to blend in or abide by the rules of a broken system. You came to dismantle the old ways and rewrite the narrative. The structures of control, manipulation, and deceit that have held sway for generations are faltering under the energy you carry. You don't play their game, you redefine it, turning their systems of power into relics of a crumbling past. This isn't about destruction for its own sake. It's about creating something better. Where their rules were built on fear, greed, and division, your presence introduces truth, justice, and alignment with higher principles. Your mission isn't subtle. It's a revolution of energy, where unity replaces separation and authenticity dissolves manipulation. They feel it, even if they can't articulate it. Their grip on power is slipping, not because you attack it, but because the energy you embody makes their lies unsustainable. The walls they've built are falling, not with force, but with the inevitability of change. You are the catalyst for a transformation long overdue. The old world is fading, and the new one, rooted in balance and universal truth, is rising in its place. They can't stop it, and they know it. Number 12. The power of your unfinished mission. What unsettles them most isn't who you are, it's who you're becoming. You're a work in progress, evolving with every step, and that terrifies them. They sense your trajectory, a path beyond their comprehension, one that threatens the systems they've spent lifetimes building. Your current power is immense, but what truly unnerves them is the untapped potential you carry, the promise of what's still to come. Every move you make feels like a tremor beneath their carefully constructed world. You're not just a presence in the present, you're a prophecy in motion, destined to reshape the very foundations of their control. They know they can't stop you. Fear, manipulation, and control are powerless against the force of your evolution. You're not just growing, you're dismantling their illusions of power and rewriting the rules they thought were unbreakable. Your journey isn't just personal, it's seismic. It signals a shift far greater than they can fathom. They see it, feel it, and know that once you step fully into your potential, there will be no stopping the changes you'll bring. You are the storm, the catalyst, the unstoppable force they never saw coming. And that's why they're afraid. You didn't come here to follow the rules, you came to rewrite them. You're here to dismantle outdated paradigms, to tear down illusions, and to usher in a new era rooted in truth, justice, and higher principles. Your very existence is proof that the world is shifting, and those clinging to the old ways can feel the ground slipping beneath their feet. They fear you, not because of what you've done, but because they know you're only getting started. With every step you take into your full potential, their carefully built realities crumble. You are the storm they never saw coming, a force of nature, a living prophecy. Nothing they do can stop the momentum you carry, the change you represent. So let them whisper, let them fear. Their resistance is a testament to the power you embody. The old world is fading, and you, chosen one, are here to write the next chapter. This is your revolution, and it's only the beginning. If this message resonates with you, stay connected. The journey ahead is transformative, and together, we're going to redefine what's possible. Subscribe now. Don't miss what's next. Greatness is your destiny, and the revolution starts here. God bless you.